Psychologists concluded that all animals, when confronted with utterly hopeless situations, would forcibly end their own lives. This is known as mental suicide. When the person on the railway track heard the train approaching and felt the track vibrating, he struggled to escape the danger. But, tied in a bag, he knew he couldn't escape. To avoid the agony of being dismembered by the train, he ended his life when the train was still about 100 meters away. Therefore, he died by suicide. So, what is the mechanism behind his suicide? In this case, we once again see the role of the independent spiritual life separate from the physical body. In fact, there are countless examples supporting this argument. In deep hypnosis psychological experiments, we are often baffled by phenomena such as unexplained increases in blood sugar levels. These experiments all point to one conclusion: the mind is independent of the body and can control the body. Ancient religious beliefs held this view, as do rigorous traditional Chinese medicine and scientifically inclined Taoist theories. Modern scientific experiments have also proven this point. This series of clues convinces us that this conclusion is correct. In fact, there are numerous examples in the history of human scientific development that can prove our point, though these experiments were previously overlooked. In 1934, in New Delhi, the capital of India, several psychologists sought to conduct an unusual psychological experiment, but finding subjects proved challenging. After much effort, they found a criminal who was about to be executed with the help of the police and the courts. One day, the police brought the criminal to a laboratory and told him, "Because of your heinous crimes, we have decided to drain your blood to death." They then tied the criminal to a bed, stretched out his arm, and fixed it. The criminal's line of sight was blocked. A doctor held a gleaming scalpel in front of the criminal and said, "I will use this scalpel to cut your artery." He lightly cut the artery, causing minimal bleeding that soon stopped. However, psychologists placed a metal basin with good echo properties under his arm and used a drip to drop water into the basin. The dripping water made a ticking sound as it struck the metal basin. The room was silent, and everyone held their breath to observe the criminal's expression. Occasionally, the disguised psychologists would say things like, 300 milliliters already, or almost half a basin. As the ticking sound continued, the criminal's face turned pale as if he had really lost blood. After a while, his breathing weakened, and he eventually died, his face deathly pale. After the experiment, psychologists were left puzzled. How did this criminal die? Was it a case of homicide or suicide? Modern psychological therapy often uncovers strange phenomena of life. Let us examine two real psychological experiments. In a hypnosis test, the doctor casually picked up a cup of plain water and told the subject, "This is a cup of water filled with a lot of sugar. It's very sweet, and you will feel very comfortable after drinking it." The subject, under deep hypnosis, drank the plain water. As we know, when we drink a sugary beverage, the sugar is absorbed into the blood through the digestive system, increasing the blood sugar concentration. Strangely, after the subject drank the plain water, they were immediately awakened, and blood tests were conducted to check the subject's blood sugar concentration. The result was unexpected. Despite the digestive system not absorbing any sugar, the subject's blood sugar concentration was significantly higher, as if they had drunk a very sweet beverage. Where did this mysterious sugar come from? Who produced this sugar? In another hypnosis test, a person was deeply hypnotized, and the doctor told him, "When you wake up and see me pick up the cup, you will throw this pen out of the window." The subject was then awakened. After a considerable amount of time, when the doctor picked up the cup, the subject actually grabbed the pen from the table and threw it out of the window. Later, when asked why he threw the pen out of the window, the subject had no idea why they did it. This is a thought-provoking result. The separation of mind and body is also evidenced by other scientific experiments. In 1966, when doctors opened one skull and stimulated a specific area of the brain with tiny electrodes, they found a delay of 0.5 seconds between the start of the stimulation and the corresponding reaction of the body. If consciousness were a function of the brain, the stimulation and reaction should be simultaneous. This situation suggests only one possibility: consciousness and the brain are not one entity. Consciousness is independent of the brain. In 1978, Nobel Prize winner and neurophysiologist Eccles summarized his years of research and proposed a shocking new viewpoint: brain excitation is not equivalent to mind and consciousness. He believed that humans have a self-aware mind independent of the brain, and the brain is merely its material tool. He said, each of us has had non-material thinking and self-awareness capabilities during some period of embryonic development or early childhood. This endows us with human characteristics: consciousness, thought, love, hate, fear, etc. He speculated that the non-material self continues to exist after the material brain dies. What Eccles referred to as self-aware mind is not the type of consciousness typically derived from brain function but something similar to the soul in religious and mythological contexts. The issue has come full circle and returned to its original starting point. We have spent hundreds of years realizing that the viewpoint of mind-body separation may not be mere absurd religious superstition. This article is excerpted from the book Humanity Was Once Destroyed, by Li Weidong.